said, I want us to welcome our next guest, Benjamin Zulu, who's a psychologist. Karibu sana to the show.
Asante.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
How was the weekend?
Very nice, and I'm very excited.
Good.
I can't wait. Can we get this going?
Let's get this going. We're talking about self-esteem and insecurities. And like I did mention, this is one of the things that really holds back so many people.
That's right.
Right? It's not lack of opportunity. It's not resources. It's not lack of intellect or understanding. It is their own self-doubt,
That's right.
self-esteem, and insecurities. What sort of determines who has low self-esteem versus who doesn't have low self-esteem issues? What sort of creates these insecurities in our lives?
And the reason I'm so happy, guys, when you picked this is because people think we are third world or we are behind economically because of many other things. Oh, our GDP. Oh, our this. Oh, our this. And I say, that question you have asked, what takes people to one direction or the other? Number one is, from early age, the things you hear. If you had criticism and being, put down and being told, being put back, children are so open like wet concrete. We can't determine where we were born, but happily enough, we can determine how much of that we carry. So insecurities have the resources. They come from early criticism. If you had critical parents, if you had an environment where you were put down, that's one of them. The other thing is failures. All children are born with energy and expecting a lot in life, and they don't have a sense of limitations to how much they are not entitled to. And generally children, if you grow in a healthy environment, you'll be that ambitious naturally. Right. But in case you're unfortunate enough that even in that small environment or where you are born, you are criticized, you need to attend to that. The second source of insecurities is perfectionism. There's some people they lack proportion. The difference between your effort and circumstances. Sometimes after you've done your best, circumstances can overwhelm your effort. After you've done every best, then you judge yourself for things out of your control. So perfectionism is lack of that proportion. The difference between your effort and circumstances outside your control. The other place that can cause you to be is recent failure. If you tried something and did not go well, you can be very insecure. So generally, there are other people who have social anxiety. Maybe they're introverted and they don't want to stand in front of people. They lose their cool in front of people. They're nervous. They're tense. They're uptight. It's called social anxiety, and it's treatable.
But that's different from having low self-esteem.
It's different. Esteem is what? It's how much value you attach to yourself. Right. The thing with self-esteem is not a constant thing. It varies with where you are. Some people are very confident around people they know. When they go to a new place with people they don't know, suddenly they cringe back. So self-esteem can fluctuate according to circumstances. So we must start by saying that you must not identify yourself with low self-esteem, because actually there are circumstances you feel good about yourself. There's sometimes your confidence is high. But in case you have a generalized low self-esteem, it's like you have a wound or you have something deep within that needs to be healed. So we must tell people today, it's not the grade you scored in school that determine how you turn out in life. It's not how rich or poor your parents were. It's not even the intellect. It's not your beauty. It's not your looks. Whether you're tall, dark, handsome, or short, fat, and clumsy. It's not how you look. And ladies, I have a special message for ladies who are exceptionally pretty, who have superior looks, superior qualities, who even are noticed even by them blind. Kuna mtu akipitia mali, when those who don't see, they must notice you around.
Wow.
Even when I'm just from prayers, she will shake me by just passing around. If you are of that type, maybe you have attached your self-esteem to your looks. The reality is, your self-worth, your self-esteem, what predicts what you become in life is what you believe about yourself. In fact, the best element about your beauty is when you believe you are beautiful. It's the belief about beauty. It's when you believe you are entitled for high. We have so many examples. Obama had no reason at all to think a black guy can be a president in a superpower. He had no reason at all. His belief was out of proportion with his means. But what he did, after believing it, he brought it to be. Christopher Columbus had no reason. He did not have royal backgrounds, but he concocted a story that is also among the royal guys. And they started welcoming him. They ended up financing his trips, exploration. And that's how he discovered those new lands. That's how he made a name. It's your self-belief that determines how your future will turn out.
And I think it's important then for us also to kind of look at the opposite end of it. So there's the people with very low self-esteem, but then there are people who have, I don't know if we can even call it very high, it's just, it borders on arrogance, pride, selfishness, you know what I mean? So how does one actually strike that balance? How do you develop then a healthy sense of self-esteem? Because there's some people who
That's right.
do the opposite, and
That's
then it
right.
becomes destructive not just for themselves but the people around them.
When you have a high self-esteem, you're supposed to be humble. To be humble means you know your strengths and weaknesses and you respect others, and you do not, when you're proud, you have a bloated ego, you're out of touch with reality. You heard me say severally that arrogance is a learning disability because, because when you think you know everything, you won't learn. So when you have a high self-esteem, you still know there is more to learn. You have limitations. In fact, you also know that you believe in yourself, but we say faith does not make things easy, it makes them possible. So you still know, even if when you have a high self-esteem, there's still work to be done. There are people to teach you. You have to submit to masters. You can fail. There's still work. It's still sweating. So you don't become arrogant and all this. That's not part of it. In fact, lacking humility is a character flaw by itself. So we are saying, do not confuse low self-esteem with humility, and do not confuse high self-esteem with arrogance. We are saying, what you need is to know that you need, first of all, to believe in yourself, because in fact you teach the world who you are by how much you believe yourself. For example, you go to workplace, when you believe in yourself, James, that's when you can take risks. So I hear so many people, by the way, they send me a lot of greetings to you and they keep telling me, tell you that work is helping. And now I was thinking about self-esteem and you now, how much they admire you. Then I think probably you are placed here easily. And I don't know the story, but I know it was a climb. You believed in yourself and reached for it and dared. You had to teach people, yes, I can do it. Yes, I can do it. People will not come home and say, hey, you look like, now come, we tell you. It's you must introduce yourself to the world. That I can sing, I can do shows, I can be a CEO, I can get a degree, I can go to Harvard, and I can do that business. Anything you think you can, it is you to introduce it to us. Be careful, start where you're asked to set your own price. When you're told, tell us how much you want to be paid, that's usually a test for your self-belief. And you're being asked to set it in figures. In negotiation, I always advise people to go farther than they had planned. You stand to lose nothing by quoting ridiculous figures. Just quote them. If you shuffle your figures, your legs, and bow your head and look like you're apologizing for everything, people will think there must be a reason why you feel that way. And there's no reason. It's just an attitude that you're selling yourself out. You might as well, project this buoyant and confident. And because it's a muscle. Just when you tell people to switch to high self-esteem, they might think, atutalala leo na uamuke kesho kwa nayo. The decision to have a better self-esteem is a decision. Then you start building. It's a muscle. The same way you do a gym. It's a thought habit. Actually, we have mantras. There are statements like, every day, in every way, I'm getting better and better. It was used by a psychologist called Emil Coway. He came up with a statement to help people reverse the negative self-talk. Because if your parents criticized you, or if you failed somewhere in life, it gave you a wrong conclusion, an inaccurate conclusion about yourself. So that became your self-talk. I will fail. My mother kept telling me I'm too fat. I cannot be loved by anyone. I'll fail. I'm mjinga kama mamako, mjinga kama babako, those kind of words. When they became your self-talk, that's where they begin to hold you down, because what other people believe about you is not the most important thing, is what you say about yourself. So if you took those words to become your own, we say a boat never sinks for what is happening outside. It sinks when what is happening outside starts getting inside. You need to change your self-talk. Even if other people still don't believe in you, you don't need to change their opinion. Just start saying, I can try that business. Even if I fail, I can try again. In fact, the people have self-esteem, they also know they can fail. But the thing is, they have calculated, even if I fail, I can still rise. We are not held back by failure because, I'll bite some amount. If it doesn't work, I'll try again. Nobody succeeded the first time. We all started and failed and started again. The failure is a lesson. It's not a misfortune. So the thing is to start by saying, from today, I want to switch from what I was told I cannot. then you start it. When you try, be ready for fail. If it doesn't fail, you're happy. If it fails, you have learned. Next time, you're not starting from zero, you're starting from experience. You know now how to do things better. We all keep quoting Thomas Edison saying, oh, this guy said 1,000 times, he tried to invent the bulb 1,000 times. And many of us can't stand the third time. And you keep quoting a guy who tried 1,000th time. Right. He said, we did not fail, we learned another way in which it is not
does
done.
Not work.
Yeah.
Wow. And I guess then for those whose parents have really spoken negatively over their lives with their guardians, because a lot of these things, it feels like it's rooted back into one's childhood when they're still in their formative years. And we're going to be taking a break soon. And when we come back, I really want us to focus then in on the insecurities and how to begin to deal with those ones, because those, as we've seen, in many other instances on the show, translate into relationships, into career, into parenting, into family, everything. But honestly, this is why I also say parenting is no joke. You know what I mean? Like, you're responsible for someone's life, like and how they are going to view themselves in the future. A daughter was told you can't keep marriage. She keeps waiting for you to go. And it's not you who told her. It's the mother who kept saying it. You can't sustain a marriage. It's so important what you say to your kids. Yeah. Because it literally affects how they view themselves. And what they expect from life. Right. Wow. Oh my goodness. So you're saying then the remedy to being able to really begin to address low self-esteem is to understand that, first of all, I feel like no one can give you self-esteem. That's right. You have to work on it for yourself. People can hurt you, they can injure, but it is your job to heal. Even if you kept being told it at 13, from the moment you leave your home, 25, 30, now you have a responsibility to heal. So you start by disagreeing with the lies that you had believed. They told you can't sustain a family. You can't hold a job. Nobody can love you. So that even when you can't, oh, I love you, say, oh, man, you always talk like that. Because it's your mother who told you a cars and you bought it. Now you need to disagree with the statement that you're not lovable. How do you disagree with it? You actually evaluate it against reality. You go back and say, I'm a believer. God told me that he created me for a purpose. And there are girls who, like, I always use Esther, because Esther was born to save the whole family. But then the parents died early. Sometimes the unfortunate thing is the devil knows your future clearer than you. Right. And he starts putting obstacles before you even wake up. Wow. Wow. Hey, that's umenena po Benjamin. Umenena sana. That is a powerful statement. I want us to take a break. When we come back, let's dive further into insecurities and how we can begin overcoming these as well. Obviously, the two are related, but I think insecurities now translate far worse into now everything else, right? And so we're going to be talking about that. Send in your questions to 22999. I'm sure Benjamin would be more than happy to answer them. And we'll be back after this. Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to Full Circle with Joyce. Thank you again for your company. I'm here with Benjamin Zulu as we're talking about self-esteem and insecurity and how to address these issues. We focus quite a bit there on self-esteem. I want us to dive in as well into insecurity, but to some of your messages here. Someone here says, hey Joyce, I think I started having self-esteem issues after a certain rumor. It's not true, but it affected me so badly. I think it's because of the eyes and the murmur of the rejection. It was when I was in high school, but I'm getting better. And I want us to talk about this because I think all of us to some degree go through a phase like this one, so that even when we know who is our source and we know who defines us and what our life purpose is, there are people who come along the way na matamchi, and they say things that really, they break us. And words are powerful. How does one address that and deal with that? Because someone here is saying, whatever they said, as much as it was not true, affected them so badly. And that was in high school, but they're getting better now. So I don't know how many years have passed. Yeah, I also don't know. but even if it's 2 years or 4 years. And there's more so those to whom it is happening now. You're being slandered now, shamed now, put down now. Listen to me. Yeah, ati umepoteza kazi. You even aborted. Yeah. Women are told such dirty things. Why can't you get a child? It's been you married so long. That's why things are said that are so painful to hear them.
And you always have faithful messengers who bring it to you. Joyce, they say, what is that?
Yeah.
You know, the thing is this. Part of what you need to realize is people will talk and their aim is to put you on the defensive. Remember, I told you a global statement the other day. Assume this. Everything in life is trying to put you down. Everything and everyone is trying to put you on a defensive. People are also envious. The evil forces in the world, they are threatened by your shine. So stop expecting complimentation from people. Stop expecting claps from people. So from the word go, expect people to attack you. Many these words and slanders, they hurt you badly when you do not expect them. How can they talk like that to me? And they always ask me that in the office. And I think, oh, excuse me, who are they to you? You are alone in this world. You're supposed to say, this is so painful, but I was always prepared that people are evil. The only two people I can rely on in this world is God and myself. Those two ones I can count on. That's why it's God who tells you, I am with you.
Yeah.
Do not fear. It's constant. So revert to your first assignment.
And I guess if you have a healthy sense of self-esteem, when you hear these things, you're immediately able to say, no, that's not who I am.
Disagree with it.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's so important for us to disagree with, things that don't just sit there and allow people to say things over your life.
And
Refuse it.
I'm happy you bring that up, because part of disagreeing is having a clear view of who you are.
Right.
Even when you are young, have that image of who you're becoming. Keep it on your mind. So that when they start saying such slanderous things, you have an affair with this one, oh you failed this way, oh you have magini. Some even accuse you of taking devils. That's why you're driving a car. Oh, you're corrupted. Oh. If you know the truth, please let that be seated in you. Another thing is, never let criticism go to your heart. And don't let praise go to your head. If criticism, both of them will slow you down.
Right.
In fact, we say you need to have a tender heart and a tough skin.
And a lot of the people who say these things, it's because they have their own insecurities.
And many times it's because they are below you. Actually, you are hardly ever gossiped by people ahead of you. Most of those who gossip you are behind you. Remember, it's coming from envy and jealousy. The fact that you have achieved something. The fact that you're on the move. You're hardly ever attacked by those ahead of you. So the thing to remember is this. Most people slander you, gossip about you, like the lady, those words that were said in high school. It's because you swallowed them. Don't swallow. Don't believe them. And more so if you know they are not true. Sometimes just the things people are saying are halfway true. So even if they have taken something that is true and exaggerated it, still don't swallow it. Did you know you can only be affected by what you believe, by what you swallow in? You can actually resist and disagree with it.
Hey, okay.
Yeah.
We have quite a number of SMSs coming in, so let's try and focus on these ones then before going back to our conversation. But someone here says, I'm always insecure about everything, relationship, work, friends, etc. How do I deal with it? Another one here says, thanks for the topic. I failed in high school, in college, and then I quit my job recently because of very late salaries, up to 4 months. What's wrong with me? They're asking. I'm 34 and only have a certificate in social work. I have a child to take care of. I'm always criticized at home because of my weight, my failures in school. I have lost vision. Please help me.
If you quit because of 4 months delayed, that's not your fault. It's their fault. Please stop blaming yourself for that. That's factually, you should quit because you not keep you 4 months. How will you survive? So you are blaming yourself even for mistakes of others. The other thing is, okay, even if we say don't grade yourself by high school grades. You're not a D material or B material or even A material. The purpose of the high school was to give you language to speak, how to calculate basic mathematics of losses and profits, how to know how to live with various people. Actually, I tell people you succeeded in high school. If you finish up to Form 4, you're able to live with different people for 4 years.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
And
can you speak
prioritize
English?
your time.
Can you speak Swahili? Can you follow that program? That was the idea.
Yeah.
Don't call yourself a D material. The thing that determines here is what you want out of life. And I keep asking them, what grade did Chris Kirubi get? We don't know. What grade did Obama get? We don't know. Many people don't know the grade in high school. We just know what they became. Believe in yourself. That self-belief is what will determine your life more than the high school grade.
Right. Wow, I like that. Someone here says, hey Joyce, my dad taught me never to allow a man to use my insecurities to lower my self-esteem. I thank God for him because at an early age he taught me to embrace me and love every flow of my life. Wow, that's great. Shout out to your dad. Yeah, from a dad.
That's
too.
a good dad.
That's a very
He
good
needs
dad.
to be clapped for.
Someone here is saying, good morning, Joyce. I agree that what our parents say about us from an early age is what we believe about ourselves for a long time. Growing up, I had positive parents, but they ended up separating when I was a teenager. I ended up living with a stranger who loved me and then relatives who were neither hot or cold. We would hear things that angered us, but what kept us going was the belief that my parents, especially my dad, had in us. That's Eunice watching the show from Mombasa. Hey, shout out to the dads today. I like this.
That's a very good thing.
Yeah. Good morning, Joyce. I had low self-esteem with myself, and I struggled so hard until one day I dared to text feedback on your show, and you read it. From that day to date, I felt so good and proud of myself. I'm so proud of God because He made me beautiful, even when others opposed my body. Absolutely.
That's so good.
Go ahead. Someone here is struggling in their home. They're saying, Benjamin, I'm a lady of 21 years old living in my parents' house. I have 3 brothers, and they tend to always put me off, criticizing me because they are boys, although my parents are supportive. It's really affecting my self-esteem because I'm jobless, trusting in God, but they won't give me peace of mind, and I'm worried. And sometimes I think the worst sort of criticism is from family members. Like, honestly, what's the point of being a family unit? And I mean, I don't mean like positive criticism. Of course, we should always accept that. But people who are putting you down, like 24/7.
This girl is 21, and I want to encourage her to stop concluding too early. When you're 21, you're still, I'm sure she just finished college maybe. And just next time when you talk about those who are taken back home by this lockdown. There's some people who are on their way out.
Yes.
And then the loss of job, they took them back home, and it's a toxic family. So to this 21-year-old, and everybody was a toxic family, people who put you down, who criticize you, this is a solution for you. You need to develop another social support other than your family. You need to have a genuine friend whom you can talk at the end of the day. You can chat at the end of the day, and they rebalance you. Another thing is you need to counter everything you hear from family. And just the funny thing is, family never quite, how come Jesus never took any of his brothers into the 12 disciples? He did not even give the role of Judas to his brother.
Blood is not always thicker than water.
Because they were still seeing him as a son of Mary and Joseph, you know. Sometimes family will never quite believe that much. Few families believe you that high.
That's true.
Few.
Yeah.
They are there, but they are so special. And they produce superior kids.
Yeah.
But the rest of us, from the first family of Adam, a brother killed another one. It's on our parent. You need to know that you need to have another social support. Maybe a friend or somebody who believes in you. And maintain contact with them while you are still physically at home. You need to chat with the person who believes in you. The other thing is, you need to go to Facebook and follow pages that talk about self-belief and positive. Another thing is, discover your passion. Like the guy was playing violin here. He's young, just around 19.
19. I mean,
but because he's busy with a passion, he may not remember the bad things you said. So I ask this guy not to sit there and absorb that negativity. Find something to absorb, to totally occupy your mind with. Even if it's making some beads or something, our minds are funny. Our minds are never vacuums. They must digest something. So give it something positive to digest, so that when people tell you bad comments, you don't have time to mull over them, think about them. You have something to digest about. So I ask this girl to apply those risk strategies. Find alternative social support, like a friend you can chat with at the end of the day. The other thing is, find materials online, Instagram, YouTube, things that feed you on positive vibe. The other thing is, focus on your passion when you are young. And I want to ask her not to run into the hands of a boyfriend or girlfriend. If you have negative parents, you always land on negative lovers because they are familiar. You don't know it, but subconsciously, that's what you recognize. These are the guys who compliment you. They look strange. They look too weak. You are used to being criticized. Criticism is normal. And I ask girls, especially if you come from negative, like a parent who is narcissistic or sadist, don't marry before you reorganize your defaults, because your normals are twisted. You end up marrying another sick person.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Okay. Someone here is saying, hi Joyce, I've always grown up being put down. Unfortunately, this has affected the person that I have become today. I never seem to get anything right. Sadly, I know this is from within, but I've really tried changing it and I don't know what to do. Please ask Zulu to tackle my issue and tell me how I can overcome this.
I don't know where it started. That self-doubt, but I want to tell you that wherever it is started, let's start which circumstances trigger it the most. Maybe if you have a critical boss who never is satisfied, always criticizes you. I want to ask people, don't stay in a job that is damaging your self-esteem. Even if it is paying you, Sometimes the money they're paying you is not worth the self-esteem they're crushing in you. So I want to ask this person to focus on where does this become most severe. There are people when you're around them, and I want to ask Joyce, don't date anybody who's always putting you down, even if it's in subtle ways. Na wewe kwani hakuna nywele ukutoa? Look at this shoe. You now, what's wrong with you? Some people they don't shout, they don't hit you physically, but they can damage your self-esteem by cutting sarcastic comments. Don't stay. I want to ask this person, check the relationship you're in, the friendships you are in, the people you're talking to constantly. If you have to push back their negativity, every time if you have to answer back the negativity, they could be putting you down more and more. So examine where this is coming from. The next thing is find those things that you feel good about yourself. Whatever even if it's singing, or if it's performing, drawing, or if it's doing it, if it's something that gives
Find an outlet.
Do it more.
That is why I always advocate for teaching your kids another language, an instrument, or a sport.
Anything that sparks their interest.
Something that is going to allow them to have a creative outlet. It is so important. Hii story ya vitabu tu from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. is not a good thing.
I'm hoping one of these days we talk the magic of the age 25, because we are not taught in high school that our brain will stabilize at 25. So before 25, we make so many blunders that we leave to have to correct later.
Right.
So I want, as you have said, don't focus your kid. Now, let's stop praising 400 marks or grade A or top this or top that. Let's praise how well your kid is adjusting, which gift they have, how they're playing the instrument, how they're playing football.
And it's so true, because actually if you're applying to schools abroad, these Harvard, Georgetown, where I went, all of these sort of Ivy League schools, they actually require you to have other skills than just good grades, because that makes you a more rounded individual. So it actually really does matter. Obviously, something is very off in our society. Hopefully, we can begin addressing that.
That's why all innovations are coming from abroad. Zuckerberg bumps on his passion and didn't need to go on with the school.
Right.
And he changed the world.
Right.
So I am happy you brought that up. People think those in Harvard are just A students or 400 marks. No, it's about what else. Are you a rounded person?
Yeah. Let's talk about men and insecurities too before our time runs out, because I think this is another area that we hardly talk about. Tunajua wanaume ni wanaume ndio, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And someone here is saying, my husband has been having issues with low self-esteem, insecurities that have even affected our marriage, and our son has started having the same issues, because now the dad is obviously not being, I guess, the best role model to his son out of fear. How would you address that then, especially in the time that we're living in right now, where I think the whole foundation of what we've called kukua mwanaume hapa in Kenya, which is pesa and could provide, is being shaken for everybody.
You're right. Part of what I want to ask men is, there's this belief we have been lied to that we have to be good at everything and we must be on top of our game every day. And now there's a shake. You can't provide money as you used to. You can't pay bills as you used to. There's a change going on. If as a man you have always had this fear that one day you lose your nerve, one day you lose your ability to provide. Insecurity sometimes is just a knowing fear, a nagging fear that you're not good enough. You're not good enough. You have to prove it. I want to ask men now to confront it. Now stop running away from it. Stop, turn back and face it. Anything that has been telling you one day you fail, ask it why. Maybe some of the men were criticized by their fathers. All insecurities have a source. As I told you, we are not born wounded. We are wounded somewhere along life.
Yeah.
So where that came from as a man, trace where it came from, then dispute it. Disagree with it. And I want to ask men to be teachable a little bit. All men who are teachable are better to live with.
Yeah.
They're correctable.
Yeah,
you can give them ideas. And I want to ask men that rigidity is not strength. Humility is strength. Actually, the most powerful men are very humble. They can converse. You can tell them ideas that you can tell them disagreeable ideas and you don't fear them exploding. So don't explode when you're told, I think you have an issue here. Please address it. Don't explode. Just say, that could be an issue. Because if your car is broken, men are very good with the mechanical things. So if your car has an issue, men, do you deny that it has an issue? No, you go to a mechanic and fix it. The same to you. If you hear something that is abnormal with yourself, face it, examine it, and then confront it. Yeah. Sometimes you may solve it with another man. You don't always need to talk to a lady if you're not comfortable with it, but find a place where you can talk to it with a man. Yeah.
Okay. I need to wrap up now, but very quickly, let me just try and summarize a few of the comments here. There's a lot of people who've had things said to them by people close to them. friends, someone here saying, their friends making fun of them, having a kid at 19 and now being 77 kgs. Another here whose aunt actually called her a prostitute, Malaya, 2 years ago. How does one go about forgiving these people? Because it seems like, how we always say forgiveness is really about you and not even the other person. For them to then be able to also work now on their self-esteem. Can you build your self-esteem if you've not sort of let go of the person who hurt you in the first place? How do they do it? Very quickly.
Give up your right to stay offended. That's
Okay.
the first place to forgive. The other thing is, do not accept the victim position that we're trying to put you into. She called me a Malaya. I feel like, no, disagree. I know I'm not a Malaya. I may have gotten a kid, but people get kids and carry on with life. And I'll prove it. The other thing is, turn that anger into a resolve. The best way to revenge is to succeed. So those who insulted you can see they were wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Benjamin, thank you for coming.
Most welcome.
Your handles?
Benjamin Zulu KE, Facebook page is Benjamin Zulu KE, and all other places also, Benjamin Zulu KE, Instagram, Facebook, and Gmail, Benjamin Zulu KE @gmail.
All right. Well, thank you guys again for your SMSs and your feedback on this topic. I know this can be a tough one for a lot of people. And as I just finish up this segment here, I'll read a comment by Farida who says, if someone manages to get a reaction from you every time, it means that they control you. Self-control and high self-esteem means that despite the person or the situation you encounter, you decide your approach and your reaction. I love that. Thank you very much, Farida, for that. With that said, we do need to take a break. Coming up next, we have the Nafunze e-learning platform coming up next. All Form 1 students studying mathematics, this is for you. Stay tuned.